What it is, YouTube? It's your boy Tokyo here. Today we're back at it again with another reaction video. There's a different type of video. We got what the fuck is this video called again? We got how the FBI hunts you on every levels of crime. I don't know why I said it like that, but no, this is something I just saw. My recommendations. It actually looked pretty fucking interesting, pretty to watch. I guess I don't know. This is by Frank Unseen's. Posted this like 8 days ago, so like almost a week, or actually it was a week actually. But I'm about to go ahead and check this out. I honestly don't really know how many levels there are on like crime, like at least like for FBI for real. You know, like crime that the FBI take care of. I don't really know how. I know they like take care of like fraud and like serial killers and shit like that, or like if you're like a very known, like very most wanted like criminal or some shit like that. I know they take care of that, but like stuff like I don't really know like what all they take care of. You feel me? So we about to go and check this out together. If you guys like this type of video, make sure you leave a like, subscribe if you're new. Make sure you check out Frank Unseen's. Links in the description down below. With that being said, let's go ahead and check it out.
Level 1. Small Federal Fraud. You are 26 years old and you have filed a false unemployment claim, padding hours you did not work over 3 months, a few $1,000s that felt small when you needed it, and feels smaller still when a letter arrives from a federal office you did not know existed. The letter is not dramatic. It requests documentation. It is signed by an analyst, not an agent, someone whose name you will never learn because the review at this stage does not require a face attached to it. A junior agent named Rachel Donnelly is assigned the file as one of 40 others on her desk that month. She does not call you. She does not visit. She cross-references your claim against payroll records, a 15-minute task on a slow afternoon, and finds the discrepancy in under an hour. She writes a short summary. She flags the file for referral to a U.S. Attorney's office, then moves to the next name in her queue. You do not know any of this happened until a letter arrives months later, offering you the chance to repay the amount plus a penalty before charges are formally considered. You pay it. The file closes. That is the lesson of Level 1 that nobody tells you. The Bureau's smallest attention is still attention, a 15-minute cross-reference, a name added to a queue, and it costs you almost nothing to notice and almost everything to ignore. Level 2. Identity Theft Ring.
That first one don't really sound like they like get you for real, for real. I guess they know like who you are, I guess, and they shit like that. But like, that first one don't really seem that bad, in my opinion. I guess like if you get a letter like that, I guess it like can kind of spook you a little bit. Like, can we not do that or some shit? But like, I don't know. That first one did not really seem that bad. I don't even know if that first one was really a crime.
You are 29. What started as one stolen identity, a wallet, a name, a handful of opened credit lines, becomes 3, then 11, as you learn how easily the first one worked and how little resistance the second one met. Each new identity feels like proof that the first one was not a fluke, that the system genuinely is as porous as it seemed the first time. You tell yourself you're not hurting anyone directly, that the credit companies absorb the loss, that the actual people whose names you're wearing will barely notice beyond a phone call and some paperwork. This time, the file does not sit on one desk. It moves to a financial crimes unit, where an agent named Marcus Ibrahim begins doing something Rachel Donnelly's review never required: connecting.
Are these actual real
He
people?
pulls victim
Or, like,
complaints
you
from
just
4 different field
saying random
offices
names?
and notices the same pattern of stolen mail routes repeating across each one. He requests bank records. He builds a timeline, a spreadsheet with your movements laid out in a shape you never intended to draw, but drew anyway, one transaction at a time. Agent Ibrahim works the case slowly across several weeks, adding entries as new complaints trickle in from victims who file reports days or weeks after noticing the fraud. Each new complaint sharpens the picture slightly, a pixel added to an image that is gradually resolving into something recognizable. The pattern gives...
That's why they be saying like stop while you ahead and shit. I feel like if you do like one big one, you should just stop. You should just quit. Like, just quit. As soon as you get that motherfucking money, just quit. Be settled with that.
You away before the evidence does, he tells a colleague.
Actually, let me not advise that. Let me not advise that. This ain't about this. This is not a channel that what's it called? Promotes that. You feel me? I don't promote crime. Get a job.
Reviewing the timeline late one evening, though you will not hear this sentence until much later, read aloud to you across an interview table. Agent Ibrahim does not chase you across state lines.
And if you can't get a job, hustle. Like, just hustle. Legally.
He does not need to. He simply waits for the timeline to finish drawing itself, adding one more data point each week you continue, patient in a way that feels almost indifferent from the outside, but is in fact the entire strategy. By the time agents arrive at your door, they already know your daily schedule, your bank branches, and the names of 3 people you stole from before you open the door yourself. You are not caught. You are concluded. The final entry in a file that had already answered every question about you before you were ever asked one. Level 3. Bank robbery.
See, like, that one seems a little bit more scary, but like, I was obviously you're stealing someone's identity, but like they actually had somebody come up to your house type shit. They already know who you are, but they don't know if you're the one that doing that shit, but they do see like some little movements going around. You feel me? Like, I feel like that might spook a nigga. Like, you might be able to stop while you're ahead at that point.
You are 32. 11 minutes inside a branch lobby.
Am I doing this like years after years or something?
Passed instead of a word spoken. $40,000 in a bag that feels heavier walking out than it did being counted at the teller window. This is not a financial crimes unit anymore. This is a full field investigation, and the difference announces itself within hours. A case agent named Diane Okoye arrives at the branch before the die pack has finished smoking. She interviews the teller, the branch manager, 2 customers who were in line behind you. She reviews the surveillance footage, frame by frame, not for your face, the mask handled that, but for your hands, your gait, the specific way you shifted your weight while waiting for the drawer to open. Within a day, a forensic accountant traces the marked bills through 2 ATM withdrawals across town. Within 3 days, a tip line generates a name from someone who recognized the jacket in a grainy still frame shared with local media. Agent Okoye coordinates a surveillance team that watches you for 6 days before making a move, building a case methodically rather than rushing an arrest that might not hold up once you were sitting across from a defense attorney. During those 6 days, you go about your life unaware, buying groceries, going to work, unaware that a rotating team of agents is documenting your movements from unmarked vehicles 2 cars back. You are not being watched because they are unsure. You are being watched because certainty in federal court requires more than one photograph and a hunch. You are arrested on a Tuesday morning, walking to your car, 6 agents positioned before you have your keys out of your pocket. We've been watching for a while, Agent Okoye tells you, not unkindly, in the interview room afterwards. The 11 minutes in that lobby took us 6 days to finish. That's usually how the math works. Level 4. Interstate drug trafficking. You are 36.
I don't know why I thought that the last one was a lot worse than this one. I think like this is levels of crime. So level 3 is bank robbery. Level 4 is drug trafficking. Shit. I wonder what level 8 is or some shit.
What began as a local supply route has grown into something crossing 4 state lines, moving through contacts you inherited rather than built yourself, a network larger than you fully understand even from the inside of it. You tell yourself the scale is someone else's responsibility, that your role is small, a driver, a middleman, a name that would not appear anywhere near the top of any chart the government might eventually draw. This comfort does not survive contact with how the investigation actually works. This draws multiple field offices into coordination, something Agent Okoye's single branch investigation never required. A task force forms, led by a supervisory agent named Patricia Wren, who works out of a regional office and speaks daily with counterparts in 3 other states. Agent Wren does not focus on you specifically at first. She maps the network, phone records, shipment patterns, financial transfers that move through shell accounts designed to look unremarkable individually and glaring once laid beside each other on a wall of printed pages. The mapping takes months, most of it unglamorous work, subpoenaing records, cross-referencing shipment manifests, sitting through hours of surveillance footage from truck stops and warehouses that yield nothing until, occasionally, they yield everything. Agent Wren's team develops a rhythm to the work, weekly briefings where the org chart on the wall grows by 1 or 2 names at a time. A wiretap, approved after months of preparatory affidavits, begins recording calls you make on a phone you believed was clean. You are not the target of the wiretap. You are one of 19 names captured by it, each one another thread
Samuel
in the map
Jackson.
Agent Wren has been building for the better part of a year. We don't usually go after the driver first, she explains to a junior agent on her team, reviewing the org chart she has assembled from wiretap transcripts and financial records. We go after the map. The driver's just one line on it. The junior agent asks her once whether it feels strange to know so much about people before ever meeting them. You know them better this way and you would meeting them. People lie to your face. The financial records don't. You are arrested in a coordinated series of raids across 4 states, executed the same morning, timed so that no one in the network has a chance to warn anyone else. 19 names, 1 morning. A year of mapping
Damn.
compressed into 6 simultaneous knocks on 6 simultaneous doors. Level 5. Kidnapping.
See, I'm glad I said what I said earlier because shit, like I said, I didn't know the show was gonna be way worse. Shit. But I ain't gonna lie, this is like a lot of effort, like a lot of fucking effort to some like I don't know, because yeah, you gotta make sure it's the people who you say they are before you make a move. So you do gotta you feel me, watch him for a good little minute, do all that other stuff, especially with the bank robbery. That bank robbery, I don't know, I didn't know it'd take like a week. I thought it would take like a good little couple months. At least how they did in the movies. Like, I don't know, but I'm just thinking off what's like a bank robbery movie? Dead Presidents, think that one. I don't know.
Are 40, a ransom demand, a missing person, and a case that moves at a speed nothing before it has moved at, because kidnapping investigations run on a clock that other federal cases do not. Within hours, a crisis negotiator named Agent Thomas Reyes is on scene, working alongside a specialized team assembled specifically for time-critical cases. Cell tower data is subpoenaed within the first hour. Financial accounts are flagged for real-time monitoring within the second. A command post is established, staffed around the clock, because in a kidnapping case, the difference between a good outcome and the alternative is often measured in hours rather than days. Agent Reyes' team does not sleep much that first night. Neither does his team. Ransom drop coordination, surveillance positioning, victim family liaison work, all of it running in parallel, all of it compressed into a window that feels impossibly short and somehow still holds everything that needs to happen inside it. He spends part of that first night with the victim's family, not because his primary role is comfort, but because trust with the family is operationally necessary. Every decision about the ransom drop, every piece of information shared with media runs through a relationship built in real time under the worst possible circumstances. You made one mistake in the ransom drop location, a detail you thought was clever, a public place with too many cameras that you assumed would work in your favor. It does not. Agent Reyes' team has technicians reviewing footage from 11 different cameras before you have finished walking back to your car. A license plate captured on one angle is cross-referenced against a rental agreement within 20 minutes. A physical description from a second angle is matched against the plate before the hour is finished. You are arrested less than 36 hours after the initial abduction, the victim recovered unharmed, the entire case compressed into a timeline that took most federal investigations months to reach, and reached it in a day and a half instead. Time is the only thing we don't get to negotiate for, Agent Reyes says afterward, in a debrief you are not present for but will later read a transcript of. Everything else we can build as we go. Time we spend before we even fully understand the case. Level 6. Organized crime. You are 44. Years
Damn, kidnapping is... Wait, organized crime is worse than kidnapping?
inside an
At least
organized
in, like, the
structure. Not the
FBI's
leader,
eyes.
but close enough to the center that your name appears on org charts long before agents ever knock on your door. The investigation targeting you is not about you at all, not primarily. A supervisory agent named Frank Delacroix has spent 3 years building a racketeering case designed to dismantle the entire structure. Leadership, enforcement, financial operations, all of it, rather than removing one man and watching the organization simply promote his replacement. Agent Delacroix's team uses confidential informants embedded at 3 different levels of the organization. They use financial forensics tracing money through legitimate-looking businesses that exist for no purpose other than laundering. They use a wiretap authorization renewed 4 separate times over 3 years, each renewal requiring fresh evidence that the investigation is still producing value.
3
You don't
years
take
for that
down an
shit?
organization by arresting people one at a time, Agent Delacroix tells a new analyst joining his team. You take it down by understanding it completely, and then removing every piece on the same day, so nothing has time to reorganize around the gap. That day arrives on a Thursday morning. 14 simultaneous arrests, 3 years of patient work compressed into 6 hours of coordinated raids across 2 states. You are one of the 14. You are not the reason the investigation happened. You are one line in a structure Agent Delacroix spent 3 years learning to see completely, and seeing it completely was always the actual point. Level 7. Cybercrime against critical targets. You are 47. A ransomware attack against a regional hospital network. One you told yourself was a purely financial target, no different from any other extortion, until you learn from the news coverage that surgeries were delayed and a patient transfer was complicated by systems you locked down for money. You had convinced yourself before the attack that a hospital's IT department was simply another corporate network, indistinguishable in principle from a retailer or a logistics company. The distinction between those things and a patient waiting on a delayed surgery had not occurred to you as something the target itself would communicate back to you afterward through headlines you cannot avoid. This draws a specialized cyber unit, agents with backgrounds in computer science rather than traditional.
I can't lie, I couldn't fucking do no fucking crime shit, especially if, like, motherfucking, if you tell me FBI been watching me before I even been doing this shit or some shit like that, I would stop immediately, just stop doing what I'm doing. Like, I couldn't do that shit. I ain't gonna cap. Like, I ain't gonna lie, I already don't like when motherfuckers already watching me, but, like, having motherfuckers watch me and I don't know it, don't know about it, and I already know I'm doing some fuck shit, like, fuck no, I'm cool, bro, I'm good, I'm straight on that shit, bro, I ain't gonna lie.
Investigative work. A cyber agent named Lisa
I wouldn't even fuck with it, I wouldn't even fuck with, like, online shit, because, nigga, they gonna find your ass quick as hell on that motherfucker, especially if you, like, if you not really too tech savvy or anything like that, you know, like, if you do, like, organized crimes or whatever, or, like, even the crimes in general, like, I feel like with that, and you try to do like scammings or some shit like that, like, and you don't really know too much about it, like, you gonna be fucked up. I feel like you're gonna be fucked up for real.
Chen leads the technical
You
response.
just gotta be like, I feel like you just gotta be like real, like really, really on your toes about shit like that, especially not to be in like interview with the FBI and shit. Like, I feel like with that you gotta be like, I don't know, very fucking like very smart about that shit. I ain't gonna lie.
Working alongside analysts who trace cryptocurrency wallets through blockchain analysis tools that did not exist in any meaningful form a decade earlier. Agent Chen's team does not need a confession or a wiretap. They need the blockchain, which remembers everything permanently and forgets nothing, no matter how many mixing services you route the ransom payment through. Every transaction is a fingerprint that never fades, Agent Chen explains during an internal briefing you will never hear directly. The technology that makes the crime possible is the same technology that makes the trail permanent. It takes her team 4 months to trace the payment through 6 different wallets and a foreign exchange that, under pressure from international partners, eventually cooperates with the investigation. The work is slow and mostly invisible from the outside. Spreadsheets of wallet addresses, timestamps cross-referenced against exchange records, patient patience applied to a problem that has no shortcuts available to it. You are identified not through a mistake in your operational security, but through the simple, patient application of tools built specifically to outlast whatever anonymity techniques you believed were sufficient. Agent Chen's report notes dryly that the hospital's delayed surgeries feature prominently in the eventual charging document, not as an afterthought, but as the detail that elevated the case from financial crime to something the unit treated as a genuine emergency from day one. Level 8. Serial Violent Crimes.
I was kind of right. Did I say level 8 was like serial crime, like serial killers? I don't know. I don't know if I was right, but if I was, I'm cold. I'm cold at that shit. But like I said, bro, like that whole, like, bro, I ain't gonna lie. I feel like you need to be like 10 steps ahead or some shit. Like, you gotta have all your shit together, like, in order to do like fucking online shit for real, like online crimes, like scamming and shit like that, trying to fucking buy shit from the dark web and shit like that. You gotta have like a lot of shit for real. That's what I think. I don't know. I don't be on the dark web or anything like that, so I can't even say shit.
You are 51. A pattern across
51, like, it's kind of crazy to be doing crime still.
3 states that took investigators years to recognize as a pattern at all, because each incident, viewed alone, resembled a local crime rather than a single thread running underneath all of them. A behavioral analyst named Dr. Samuel Whitfield, attached to a specialized unit that studies patterns across jurisdictions, is the one who first notices the connection, a signature in the crime scenes that local detectives, working in isolation from each other, had no reason to compare. Dr. Whitfield's report circulates quietly at first, then urgently once a 4th incident confirms what the first 3 suggested. A multi-state task force forms, coordinated by a case agent named Gregory Alston, who spends months building a geographic profile alongside Dr. Whitfield, narrowing a search radius that started as 3 states and ends as a single county. The work between them is collaborative in a way that surprises younger agents assigned to the task force. Dr. Whitfield's behavioral analysis shaping where Agent Alston deploys resources, Agent Alston's ground-level investigative findings refining Dr. Whitfield's profile in turn, each discipline correcting the other's blind spots over months of shared casework. The pattern doesn't lie, even when the crime scenes are separated by hundreds of miles and years, Dr. Whitfield tells the assembled task force during a briefing. People repeat themselves. It's the most consistent thing about any of us. Physical evidence, painstakingly reprocessed with techniques unavailable at the time of the earliest incidents, eventually produces a DNA match that connects you to all 4 crime scenes. The reprocessing itself takes months, a backlog of evidence run through updated lab techniques that did not exist when the first incident occurred, the technology finally catching up to a case that had been waiting years for it to arrive. The arrest, when it finally happens, feels almost anticlimactic after the years of patient cross-referencing that preceded it. 2 agents, a quiet knock, a case that took longer to build than most careers take to develop, concluding in less than 30 seconds at your front door. Level 9. International Criminal Organization. You are 55.
Dang, that is kind of crazy. Like, they do be working on that shit for like years maybe or some shit like that, and then like it can all just be over by them just, yes, FBI, yeah, you come with me, you're under arrest. Like, you feel me? Like, that shit can just be like, it can be over within like 15 seconds or some shit. Or like, if these niggas can just be on some, got balls or some shit, they running. You feel me? Some niggas just gonna be running or some shit. I don't know. I don't think a lot of people actually run from like FBI. I don't think a lot of people like really try it with the FBI. I know cops, they'll try it, like they'll risk it, Like FBI, SWAT, all of them, I don't know if they would risk it for real, for real. I don't think a lot of people would.
An operation spanning 3 countries, financial networks that cross borders faster than any single agency's jurisdiction can follow them without help. This requires something beyond domestic coordination. A legal attaché named Robert Castellanos, stationed at a U.S. embassy overseas, becomes the connective tissue between American investigators and law enforcement partners in 2 other countries, each with their own legal systems, evidentiary standards, and political considerations that complicate what would otherwise be a straightforward pursuit. Agent Castellanos spends over a year negotiating mutual legal assistance requests, each one a formal diplomatic process rather than a simple phone call, each one requiring translation, legal review, and approval from officials in multiple governments before a single piece of evidence can officially cross a border. Domestic cases move at the speed of a subpoena, he tells a colleague during a video call that spans 3 time zones. International cases move at the speed of the slowest government's paperwork, and there's nothing anyone can do to rush that, except build the relationships years before you actually need them. He recalls, in that same call, a case from a decade earlier that stalled for 8 months, waiting on a single signature from an official who was, it turned out, simply on an extended leave no one had thought to ask about. The lesson from that failure shapes how he builds every relationship since. Redundant contacts, backup channels, relationships that exist independent of any one official's availability. Those relationships, built over years of prior cooperation on unrelated cases, are what eventually make your case possible at all. A coordinated operation, timed to the hour across 3 countries, results in arrests happening almost simultaneously, despite a 9-hour difference between the furthest 2 locations. The coordination
So how long would this one take? Like probably like I feel like this might take like a good little minute, you know?
itself is a logistical achievement rarely visible to the public. Agents in 3 countries standing by on encrypted calls through the early morning hours, waiting for a synchronized signal that all 3 teams are in position before a single door is approached. You are extradited months later, the legal process alone taking longer than the crime itself did to commit, a slow, grinding mechanism that outlasts your patience long before it outlasts its own. Level 10. Terrorism. You are 59.
Yeah, I think terrorism would be. I think, sir, I ain't gonna lie. I don't know what I thought the last one would be. I don't even know if this is the last one or not. But terrorism, yeah, I can see that. I can see that being
Plot
like
disrupted
the
before
heist.
completion that draws a response unlike anything the previous 9 levels prepared you to imagine. This is no longer a single agent case, or even a single task force. A joint terrorism task force activates within hours, pulling together federal
Oh, so it's not even just FBI. This is everybody. Local police. We got federal agents. The fucking who that look like these niggas look like what you call it like army men or some shit, you know? Oh shit.
agents, local police, and intelligence analysts from agencies that do not typically share information with this speed or this openness. A supervisory agent named Elena Marchetti coordinates a response that draws on resources you did not know existed: signals intelligence, financial intelligence, human intelligence from sources cultivated over years for exactly this kind of moment. Interagency coordination happens at a pace and scale that dwarfs even the international case that preceded it, briefings happening hourly rather than weekly, decisions made at a level of government far above any single field office. Agent Marchetti has spent years building the relationships this moment now depends on entirely. Contacts across a dozen agencies. Protocols rehearsed in advance specifically so that no one has to figure out coordination for the first time under pressure. The response feels, to anyone watching from inside it, less like an investigation improvising its way toward an answer, and more like a machine executing a plan it had rehearsed many times before this particular day arrived. Nothing about this moves at a normal investigative pace. Agent Marchetti tells her team during the opening hours of the response. Everything that would normally take weeks of approval happens in minutes here because the cost of being slow is measured differently than it is anywhere else in this work. The investigation that follows draws on nearly every capability described across the previous 9 levels simultaneously. Financial forensics, digital tracing, behavioral analysis, international cooperation, all of it running in parallel rather than in sequence, all of it converging on you all at once rather than building toward you gradually over months or years. You are apprehended within days, the full weight of an apparatus that normally takes years to assemble, instead compressed into the most urgent version of itself, activated completely.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense because, like, well, is it while the crime is happening, or is it as they're planning it? Because if they're planning it, how long does that take? Is it like the same? Is it like the same reaction? Like everybody comes in, it moves all at once, like it's days as soon as this shit's happening or some shit, as soon as they're planning it, as soon as they pop out, or like is it during or is it during? You know, like that's like, cause I wish he like kind of explains like when it's going on. You feel me? He explained it in like a fucking stoner way. Give me like a stoner edition.
The instant the threat was identified. 10
Okay, so basically they do get it like as soon as they pretty much as it's planning, or they planning it or something.
levels. 10 different sizes of the same basic architecture. An agent, a file, a pattern that eventually completes itself, whether the crime takes 11 minutes or 11 years to unfold. Rachel Donnelly's 15-minute cross-reference and Elena Marchetti's hour-by-hour interagency response are not different systems. They are the same system, scaled to match the size of what it is asked to find. The Bureau does not hunt you the way a single person hunts. It hunts you the way a structure hunts, patiently, in parallel, assembling a picture one piece at a time until the picture is complete enough that the final step, the knock on the door, is almost an afterthought compared to everything that built toward it. If this changed how you see what happens after the crime, before the headline, share it. Subscribe.
It does show like a lot of like a lot of patience, I'll say. Like, because you'll think, well, then again, because as you see it right here, like sometimes the crime does take, like the headline takes a good little minute before the actual thing happens. I'm just see what is going on right here, because he actually has like a good example right here. Let me move myself right here. Oh, hold on. There we go. So as you can see, this is actually a pretty good example of it for like level 1, the crime happens, you report, action, headline. Level 2, crime, you feel me? It takes, like, it shows like the level of crime does not really, like, it takes a good little minute, like especially during level 10. Crime happens, investigation, undercover, witness, control hearing, public outcry in the media, policy change, headline. Like, it takes a minute. Like, the crime can happen, the report, I didn't even show it. Oh, damn. Like, what the fuck? And there's not even no more the action don't even be, what the fuck? Duh, I'm literally looking at this shit as I'm like saying this shit. Like, sometimes there's not even no action taking place. It's usually an undercover. Undercover will get them. Then it's the witness, or there's a policy terror. Then there's a public response, and it's an outcry, and then the headlines happen. Then it's a major. Damn. Yeah, that shit crazy. I don't mess with the FBI, bro, because they are planning it. They know what the fuck they're doing. I ain't gonna cap. Like, I just say get a job or just hustle in order to make like good money. Cause not all money is good money, for real. I ain't gonna cap. Well, some of these not even about money. I ain't gonna lie. Just don't do crime. I'll say this is just don't do crime. It's not worth it. I'll just say that. Anyways, guys, if you like this video, make sure you leave a like, subscribe if you're new. Make sure you check out Frank Unseen. That's gonna be description down below. It's actually pretty interesting. I like this a lot. And yeah, that being said, I'm up out of here. Peace.